You're watching VinylicPumaGaming. Well guys, it's pretty crazy, but 1 year ago yesterday marks the release of Fallout 4. So today I figured I'd make a new Fallout 4 video for you guys, and I wanted to discuss what I think are some of the best perks available in Fallout 4. Now, obviously, depending on what type of build you want and what weapons you plan on using, you may find that certain perks will make more sense than others. I also feel like I should mention that this list could possibly be like a top 30 list. There are a lot of really good and useful perks in Fallout 4 that you may like that don't appear on this list. And my focus here is to pick perks that are going to be useful for most players and build types, or even a collection of perks that can prove to be a phenomenal combination with certain builds. I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you like a specific perk and it doesn't appear on this list, it's not because that perk is bad, it's just not on the list. With all of that out of the way, these are our top 10 best perks in Fallout 4 starting now. Number 10, Locksmith. So maybe this one is or isn't obvious, but Locksmith is leaps and bounds better than the Hacker perk. This is because the vast majority of locked areas are accessed via lockpicking as opposed to just hacking a terminal. Now, that's not to say that you can't get some great stuff by hacking a terminal, but you'll generally find the best way to acquire random loot is through lockpicking. In terms of perk levels though, I'd say this is a perk that you could probably get by without maxing it at 100%. You'll find that at a certain point in the game that bobby pins are common enough to where you really don't have to worry about them breaking. There are also a bunch of master locks that are definitely worth picking. Vault 111 has the cryolator case, which gives you access to the cryolator, and there's also the prototype UP77 laser pistol that can be acquired by lockpicking and then pushing a button at University Point. Regardless of what build you play, I don't think you can really go wrong with Locksmith. It's great for acquiring loot, and it's an extremely useful perk. Number 9, Armorer. The Armorer perk is pretty much essential for all builds, and this is true regardless of whether you use power armor or even if you just use regular armor. While you can apply and remove mods to armor without the Armorer perk, Armorer provides you with the ability to craft the vast majority of armor upgrades provided that you have this perk. While it is possible to salvage various bits and pieces of armor and remove their various mods and upgrades, I think you'll ultimately find that the Armorer perk is more convenient, and depending on what types of armor you plan on using, you may not be able to randomly acquire and extract armor mods for that specific armor. This is especially the case for power armor in particular. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I'm not sure you can obtain very many, if any, power armor pieces with power armor customizations or mods equipped. Now, that's not to say that you can't get legendary or unique versions of power armors, but you usually have to install things like the internal database mod for helmets or the motion-assisted servos torso mod for yourself. I think we all can agree that Armorer isn't sexy or anything, but Armor is a really good perk, regardless of your playstyle. Number 8, Chem Resistant plus Chemist. So this will be the first of our 2-for-1 entries. I know that Chem Resistant and Chemist are different perks from entirely different perk trees, but I still think that Chem Resistant and Chemist benefit from each other really well. Chem Resistant is a pretty simple perk from the Endurance tree that can potentially provide complete immunity to chem addiction. Even with 1 point in this perk, you become 50% less likely to get addicted when consuming chems. Chemist, on the other hand, boosts the length of the effects of chems. At just level 2, all chems last twice as long, and when maxed out at level 4, your chems will last 3 times as long. I suppose I should also mention that Chemist is required for survival mode. This is mostly because Chemist is needed to craft most healing items for survival mode, so even if you decide not to have the Chem Resistant perk, you will eventually need at least 1 rank in the Chemist perk. You've got to admit though that the ability to take chems without the risk of being addicted, and the ability to have those chems last potentially 3 times as long as normal, greatly boosts the effects of chems like Jet, Calmex, Buff Out, Mentats, and Psycho. Both of these on their own are okay as perks, but they both become amazing when put together. Number 7, Scrapper. Intelligence in general has a lot of really excellent perks for the player to pick up. I think if you plan on doing any sort of crafting, settlement building, or even just weapon and armor customization, Scrapper is essential. What's also nice about Scrapper is that it gives you the ability to acquire very useful resources from just scrapping various weapons that you find. Typically, the higher quantity complex mods that are on a weapon, the more likely you are to get uncommon resources like screws or gold. I also like Scrapper because you'll find that most builds have about 6 points in intelligence or higher, and since Scrapper only requires an intelligence stat of 5, it's going to be a perk that's going to be available to most player builds in Fallout 4. It's also nice that this perk can be maxed out at level 23 with proper perk investment, and the ability to acquire and maintain a stock of resources early on becomes very useful later on in Fallout 4. Ultimately, Scrapper is going to make finding these rare resources that much easier, and I recommend it. Number 6, Science. Science might just be one of, if not the most important utility perks in Fallout 4. While it doesn't make you better at defeating enemies in combat, it is essential for crafting and improving various weapons and armor. Power armor in particular usually requires at least 1 rank in Science in order to improve your overall armor health and damage resistance. You'll also find that most energy weapons benefit from the Science perk. While you can improve most ballistic-based weapons with Science by gaining the ability to craft high-quality optics, you'll ultimately find that the best capacitors and barrels for both laser and plasma weapons are crafted with the Science perk. Science is also needed for settlement building. Certain things like high-quality power sources like your fusion generator, computers, turrets, and even water purifiers can't be crafted unless you have achieved a certain rank within the Science perk. Most Fallout 4 builds, I think, accommodate 6 points in intelligence for a reason, and it is for this perk. Number 5, Fortune Finder plus Scrounger. Here's the second entry on this list where I combined 2 different perks together, although I think we can all agree that both of these perks are fairly similar in terms of their function. Plus the 2 complement each other pretty well. Fortune Finder is really useful for acquiring a lot of bottle caps from containers. When maxed out, enemies will occasionally drop more bottle caps than normal when you kill them. In some cases, you can double the amount of bottle caps that you would have normally picked up, and this could be really useful for characters that have low charisma, as vendors have a tendency to have higher prices the lower your charisma. Scrounger, on the other hand, is really useful for acquiring lots of ammo from containers. When maxed out, you can actually gain ammo when firing the last bullet in a magazine. Now, Scrounger's effects are limited though. DLC ammo types like the 7.62 from Nuka World or the 4570 from Far Harbor can't be acquired this way. At the same time, Scrounger can be a great way to acquire fusion cores, mini nukes, and even rarer ammo types like 2mm electromagnetic for that Gauss rifle, and plasma cartridges for plasma weapons. Guys, the requirements here are pretty low, and I think you should pick them up. I mean, you only need a luck stat of 2. Number 4, Demolition Expert. If you ask me, Demolition Expert is one of the best weapons-related perks in Fallout 4. While it's most likely not going to affect all of the weapon types in your arsenal, it really boosts the viability of grenades in particular. Not only are you getting improved damage from your grenades, but at rank 2, you get a visible throwing arc, which can make it significantly easier to predict exactly where your grenades are going to go when you throw them. At rank 4, you get to deal double damage with grenades, and if you shoot a grenade in midair while in VATS, you get a chance to deal an additional double damage provided the enemies get caught in the blast. It should also be mentioned that certain weapons also benefit from the Demolition Expert perk. Both the Fat Man and the missile launcher can receive increased damage provided you've put some points into this perk. If your regular ballistic weapons have the explosive legendary effect, you can further increase the damage of those weapons by maxing out your Demolition Expert perk. I'd say one of your best options for that is going to be the Kiloton Radium Rifle from the Far Harbor DLC. Not only are you getting the explosive legendary effect on that weapon, but you're getting it on one of the best rifle types in Fallout 4. Now, whether it's grenades or guns, Demolition Expert is a great choice. Number 3, Action Boy and Action Girl. They're really the same thing. This is another good perk that you can get in Fallout 4 that has relatively low special stat requirements. Assuming that you have at least 5 agility, you should be good to go. Action Boy or Girl can improve action point regeneration speed by anywhere between 25 to 75%. Though it should be said that if you have just the vanilla game, you're only benefiting from up to 50% faster action point regeneration speed. If you have the Far Harbor DLC, you can get up to 75% action point regeneration speed. It's also worth mentioning that Action Boy or Girl is also compatible with various armor customizations and legendary effects that also improve action point regeneration. You almost get to a point where the amount of action points that you have doesn't matter if your action point regeneration is high enough. Now, that said, you'll find that this perk becomes even stronger when you do have more action points. And as you can probably imagine, this skill will be really useful if you tend to deplete your action point meter constantly. So this would be great for both VATS users as well as melee users that frequently use power attacks. This is a really good perk that only becomes more ridiculous with the proper equipment. If you have 5 agility, this is a must-have. Number 2, Ninja plus Mr. Sandman. So I originally thought I would only include Ninja here, but I think for most players' purposes that both of these perks are best when combined together. Ninja can improve the ranged sneak attack multiplier from 2.5 to 3.5 times, and your melee sneak attacks will deal anywhere from 4 to 10 times the damage that you normally would do. Mr. Sandman provides you with the ability to instantly kill sleeping targets, while your silenced weapons can deal anywhere from 15% to 50% additional sneak attack damage. You'll find that with both Ninja and Mr. Sandman that you can increase your sneak attack damage with silenced weapons to insane levels. This will make certain weapons like the Gauss rifle even more ridiculous and give it the potential to perform one-shot kills relatively easily. I would say of the two, when it comes to just pure bonuses that are provided, maybe Ninja is going to be on top. However, I think both are important for snipers. Number 1, Critical Banker. Critical Banker is just a really good perk that allows the player to save critical hits. Essentially what this does is allows the player to fill up the critical hit meter additional times, provided that your perk rank is high enough. So at level 1, you can save 1 extra critical, 2 at level 2, and 3 at level 3. And provided you have Fallout 4's Far Harbor DLC, you can actually achieve 4 ranks, which allows you to save up to 4 critical hits. With Critical Banker, assuming you had the right weapons with low enough action point cost, you could perform up to 5 critical hits in a row with this perk maxed out. The best part is that Critical Banker becomes even more ridiculous once you've combined it with other luck-based perks like Grim Reaper's Sprint and 4-Leaf Clover. Not only do you have the ability to dish out lots of critical hits in quick succession with Critical Banker, but you also gain the ability to quickly recharge your critical hit meter as well. I'd say the only problem with this perk are the high stat requirements. You'll need 7 in luck for Critical Banker alone, and if you decide to get Grim Reaper's Sprint and 4-Leaf Clover, you'll need at least 9 in luck. Guys, this is a great perk. Go pick it up. Alright guys, that's going to pretty much wrap up this particular video. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, and as always, take care, and I'll see you all next time.